All right, folks. Well, our next person up is no stranger to the CAA members and probably not to a lot of other folks internationally. Mr. Bill Mark. Bill's been with Wiggly Heli Skiing for a long time. He's um, a big part of the CSGA and the CAA's training program as well. Lately, he's been staring out the window, looking at shapes in the snow and remembering old ISSW presentations. So without further ado, I'd like to pass it on to Bill and his very bright floral shirt. Way to pretend it's Penticton, Bill.
Well, I thought I should put on a decent shirt. You got me there loud and clear, and have you got my presentation?
We have both. Your audio is a little scratchy, but it's workable.
Okay, I'll speak
Over
up.
to you.
Right. Well, thanks for coming and listening. I asked Joe at the last minute. I was past the deadline and said I'd have a little presentation. Originally, it was going to be kind of lighthearted and then over the last few days, I've kind of watched what is going on in the last presentations, and I thought it was I should maybe keep it lighthearted, but add a little kind of a serious note at the end. So what happened? To all of us, we came into the world of COVID, and I think it was great. Garth's presentation leads right into my presentation. Hopefully, we're proceeding. Like a lot of people in the winter sports business, we got sent home early, 4 weeks early. No more heli skiing for me. Luckily, I live in a pretty good place in Whistler, and I get to stare at this view, and had a little bit more time to do that. So anyway, the mountain's closed. There's no skiing, no uphill skiing, no downhill skiing. Drinking coffee, looking out of the mountain, and you start staring at the mountain, and for a long time, and you start seeing a few shapes. So given that, we started looking. My wife and I would sit there and drink coffee and would look out, and we'd see, oh, well, look, there's a little bit of a shape there. Maybe that's something, and kind of looks a bit like one of those. Or you could maybe say like one of those. Anyway, it reminded me of ISSW in 1998, the Yukigata. It's actually a real thing. It's basically a shapes you can see here on the mountain. You got the shape of a horse, and there's been papers, and there's actually an international Yukigata fellowship out there. Anyway, lots of those. So we were staring out at these, and this was again a bit of fun for lighthearted to add to the presentation. But I kind of think there's some parallels to what's going on, and anyway, there's one more here that you might like. This is what I call Lederhosen Man. There he is. Anyway, so on a more serious note, what are the future shapes in the snow? We've had lots of time for contemplation, lots of time. These presentations for the last little while have been really very interesting, and some of them, like Garth's, we've got some great challenges. How's our business, our industry going to move ahead in the world of COVID? And I think we've just hadn't scratched the surface. Garth's example, we've got a few other examples as well. Ian Tom broke out right at the start, talking about having an incident during times of extra stress. And I thought it was refreshing, some of those presentations. The other part that I thought was really important during these times is actually take some time. We do have a little bit of time. Recharge, use your imagination, have some fun. Normally we're all in Penticton, having watching presentations, going mountain biking, going climbing, kind of thawing our toes out after being in boots all season. So, we've got to keep doing that and stay positive as well. But also, we're going to be challenged, just like, Garth's presentation, Ian's presentation. And as an industry, it's going to be really challenging. We're looking down the pipe at for instance, the CAA ITP programs, the ACMG programs, the Canadian Ski Guide programs, are all being challenged, all courses cancelled. People who are trying to move up, all of a sudden they're not able to become lead guides, for instance. So how are we going to deal with that? And I think the kind of the analogy, or what this whole staring at the snow thing, and Garth, as an example, talked about collaboration, talking to our people, our business. That's the thing we do. We go to Penticton, we stand around outside in the sunshine and at the sessions, and we drink a beer and we talk about how we're going to get by things. And I think in these times, we've got to continue to do that. So I really encourage people to do that. Also, and this didn't come from Joe, this was self as a former president. We've got to participate and join these organizations, be it Canada West Ski Areas Association, Helicat Canada, guiding associations. The way to help change is make sure we participate. And I'm going to put a little plug in. I know AGMs are not people's favorite thing, but attend it. You're maybe hanging out at home a bit anyway, so it's a great opportunity to participate. Anyway, that's really what I wanted to say. It's a short little session. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun, and maybe in your areas, look for some Yukigata, see if you can see some, and maybe share them amongst yourselves. And in the words of Bonnie Henry, be calm, be kind, and be safe, and have a great summer. And I'm sure we'll be talking amongst each other as we move forward on these things. So that's my short, sharp presentation, and I'll hand it back to Joe.
Well, thanks, Bill. I won't let you out of here without offering a chance for folks to ask some questions. Certainly, I appreciate the plug for the AGM. We in the staff side think we were thinking we've given people a few days of cake, and the AGM is like eating a plate full of Brussels sprouts. But are there any questions from the floor for Bill for these very welcome remarks?
We have a question from the floor from Kevin Marr again.
G'day, Kevin.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, one, I really want to echo your plug for participating in AGMs and supporting your associations. It's incredibly important, and it tends to get slept off a little bit. The other question the only question I have, Bill, is what are you putting in your coffee in the morning? I don't see no Lederhosen guy there at all.
Oh. You've got to have good imagination.
That's all I got. Thanks, Bill.
No worries. Thank you.
We have another question from Sean Zimmerman-Wall.
Hi, Sean.
Yeah, good afternoon. Bill, it's good to hear your presentation and the lightheartedness that it brings along with it. I'm down here in the States. I work with the American Avalanche Association, and I just want to echo your call to collaborate and participate, and extend that invitation across the border to y'all as we look to face the same challenges on this side of the fence. So thanks for that call to action. It's well noted.
Yeah, I think there's great examples, for instance, Doug Latimer's presentation was fantastic on, the virtual learning and how we can, chase those things up. It's definitely, there's some great innovation going on out there, that's for sure.
Most definitely. And I wish you a good summer ahead.
Oh, thanks very much.
And we have a couple more questions still here. We got one from Steve Kite.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, how's it going? Listen, I'm quite inspired by your talk, and the timing is really good for us here down in Fernie. without spilling too many beans, James and I have been talking about trying to do a bit of a virtual ISSW shorter event this fall. As most people know, we've postponed or I should say rescheduled the ISSW to 2021. That leaves kind of a long time for international collaboration and getting together. So just so people know, it's out there. We haven't figured out a date or much of a format. And in fact, we're watching the CAA's work here and thinking a lot about how we can produce something, and we're having some meetings coming up here shortly. So I just wanted to tell everybody to keep your ear to the phone, and at some point we're going to come up with something for the fall in terms of VSSW, and so hope to see you all there. This has been an incredible success. The numbers are incredible, almost 600 people, I think, Joe. That's awesome. So thanks for the inspiration, Mark, and Joe and all your team, and it's been great. Thanks.
No worries. Look forward to that, Steve. That sounds like a great idea.
And our other question from the floor is from Steve Conger.
Hi, Steve.
Sure, thanks, Bill. And I just wanted to kudo your collaboration and participate for the AGM, and recommend everybody dig into the items that Joe sent out. It's an opportune time for all of us to collaborate on some really important stuff as we move forward tomorrow at the AGM, and take the time to prepare yourself for it and read it.
Thanks, Steve.
And that's it for questions from the floor, Joe.
Okay,
All right,
well, thanks, Bill. I swear I did not put Bill up to this, but as a former president, I guess he's got that voodoo to guess what we need as a roundup. So thanks, Bill, for these reflections and for the encouragement to attend the AGM.
It wasn't my intention, but as I watched stuff, I couldn't help myself.
Well, I think that intuition is valued, and I think it's echoed in the comments of folks who chimed in, and likely the others who didn't. So thank you, Bill. Much appreciated.
See you all tomorrow.
Okay, well, folks, I know that a lot of you are probably dying to get out of here. I'll just offer a few remarks because I think this is a bit of a fork in the road where most of the folks attending the AGM will be members, and a lot of our guests from various other quarters are going to be departing today. And before you go, I just wanted to make sure that I was able to pass on a little bit. This effort, when we began it, was a little bit of intuition, a little bit of hope that the technology would work, and a whole lot of fretting and anxiety. And from our whole team, I think we learned a few lessons that I'd just pass on to the other folks on the call who may be contemplating this in ways such as Steve described, whether it's snow and avalanche workshops this fall. But I guess a couple of lessons I'd offer are, choose a platform and get to know it. We chose GoToWebinar. It's got its ups, its downs, but being able to control mics and cameras from the organizer side is really valuable. Practice, practice, practice with each other. Your team has to know these tools inside and out, especially if you're communicating at a distance. Every presenter is a bit of an adventure unto itself. So if you have the chance, practice with your presenters ahead of time. We did that, and it was a lot of work, but I think it smoothed out a lot of the gaps that we faced. And the last thing is anticipate. When you shift from the in-person conference, we've been doing that for many years, and much of it our staff has down to a science. But when it comes to shifting online, simple gestures like carrying a piece of paper from the front of the hall to the back or vice versa suddenly become 10 hyperlinks to organize online. So spend the time and you can do it. We're really thrilled with your participation and the work of the presenters today, and those are just a few lessons from our end, and we're happy to share those with other organizations as we move forward. Lastly, I think it's really important to thank the folks behind the scenes. All of our staff have been bending around in different ways. In truth, our spring conference started last week with our instructor meetings, and a big thanks to all the ITP staff who led that effort and worked with all the instructors that week. Shifting into this week, a couple of the folks who really worked hard behind the scenes, I'd like to give a kudos to Brent Strand. Can throw on his camera if he's still around. Huge thanks to Brent. I also want to give a huge thanks. There he is. You know the voice. It's probably the first time he hasn't yelled at you at a spring conference. So I think we're all thankful for that. Brent
Can I
is
try
usually
it
our. Wait. Thank you, Brent, for all your work. I don't know if we can get Kristen Anthony Malone or Jess on camera. I know that's throwing you guys a curveball. Oh, there's Kristen. There's Jess. Thank you both for all this work. I've been pushing the team super hard the last few weeks, and it's greatly appreciated. I wanted to sneak in those thanks while we had our other international and non-member crowd on the phone. Lastly, I'll just say we'll meet you tomorrow at the designated time for the AGM, and please get your readings done ahead of time. Brent, are there any other housekeeping notes that you want to go through before we conclude?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to you, Joe. You did a fantastic job, and thanks for carrying the MC through and keeping us all on track, and thanks for pushing forward. Yeah,
Oh,
Joe.
well, thanks, Brent. Oh, well, good of you. I did learn one other lesson. If you're sitting for a long time, you should mix it up a little bit. Some people had suggested an exercise ball, and I'm 5'9". I'm not sure this is the right size, but if any of you have any advice, please let me know. Okay, thank you very much, and we will see many of you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye-bye.